Eddington. This movie is Ari Aster's new movie. I love Ari Aster. I just want to put that out up front. Hereditary, Midsummer. I think the guy is just great. He fires on all cylinders. Beau is Afraid. Don't even ask me what I think of that movie. I've seen it twice, and I still can't tell you what the fuck I thought about that movie. It had things I appreciated for sure. I know that, but I am so lost on what that movie was, and I genuinely cannot even describe it to you. Very confusing movie. So, he's a director I love, but I also was concerned after Beau is Afraid because that was a total. Someone gave me a bunch of money and I got too self-indulgent up my own ass. And, you know, there are directors like Wes Anderson that I still love that are like that. But where the stick is starting to run out with me, even with them. And so I was kind of curious if Ari Aster was going to do that. Didn't really know anything about this movie going into it. Because a lot of times with movies like this, you just give me the fucking director's name and I'm good to go. I see a poster, I see the cast, I see the writer, I see the director, I'm good to go. And this was one of those. So, I love the poster for this movie, by the way. Gorgeous poster. So I sat down, and holy shit, this movie floored me. Where do I begin with this one? So this movie is set during the pandemic. And it's set in Eddington, Texas, which is not like, and this is not based in reality. It is, right? It's based in real world subject matter, but it's not like based on true stories. I kind of hope there are people who don't try to think that this movie is trying to tell a real life story, because it's not. Elements of this movie, I believe, are true. A lot, again, it's still with real world subject matter, but I do think this movie suffers from a little bit of Ari Aster being up his own butt a little bit. Like, I think the ending of this movie was a little bit too long and was a little, like, I feel like this movie should have ended like 10 minutes before this. But for the main portion of this movie, I was just utterly engaged. I think the first two acts were the strongest, though. But basically, this is in my top 5 of the year because this movie is just great. Phoenix is amazing in this movie. Joaquin Phoenix is great. I mean, you don't really expect a bad performance from him, but this is, I mean, maybe one of my favorite performances he's ever given. Pedro Pascal is also wonderful in this movie. Basically, the thing about this movie that's really special is it's dealing with a lot of the stuff that was frustrating about the pandemic. But it doesn't really pick a side. It just kind of shows you these things and shows you how frustration and paranoia and anger can destroy a community in a town, even when there's people in it just trying to do good and they're not on the wrong side of the things, and it can eat at you. Because in this movie you have this sheriff who's not a bad guy. He's frustrated by the pandemic stuff because he has asthma and he's shamed in this town for not wearing a mask, even though there's no COVID in this town. And, you know, to him it's frustrating. He can't sit and wear a mask because of his asthma. And so, you know, he's just trying to live his life and survive during this pandemic and go to the grocery store, but he can't go there without being shamed. And, you know, it's clear this guy has character flaws. He seems a little bit racist, has a little bit of, you know, he's maybe a little bit bigoted, you know, calls someone the F slur, right, in the movie. So it's clear, like, they show this character's flaws, but they're also making you understand that while this character is flawed, his point of view really shouldn't be ignored, and so that's why he runs for mayor. And sure, it blows up in his face, but this other guy, he's a crooked politician, and he's not really the most you know, wonderful guy about following his own mandates and following these things. And then, you know, the young people start protesting Black Lives Matter in this movie, and they show kind of the sides of that young people are saying a lot of words and things that they don't fully understand because they're young and they're angry about something that they have a right to be angry about, and they absolutely should. But maybe they don't fully understand, like they're throwing around racist and, and even they're telling this one black guy, you should be on the streets with us protesting, but he's, he just doesn't feel that need like they do. And, it's interesting stuff. So it doesn't really pick a side. It shows these things, makes you think about these things and the way you viewed these things at the time. And I think also it's really great that Ari Aster directed this movie because he's really only directed horror movies up until this point. Very unique art house horror movies, right? I don't really want to say elevated horror. I feel like this is a little demeaning to other horror movies, but just more unique, different style of horror movies, we'll say. And this movie in itself is a horror movie because the pandemic was a horrific situation. The riots for Black Lives Matter, and, well, I don't want to use riots, I'll use protests because that's the correct terminology. Yes, there were some riots, but overall it was mostly peaceful protesting. We know that. And so, we need to understand that a lot of that shit was wild, but it was also a horrific situation. I mean, a lot of us are still in therapy or processing it. Like me, I graduated on the computer in high school. So a lot of these, we're still processing a lot of that real world reality, and we're kind of showing, and they're kind of also, this movie goes to show like cycles of these things can repeat themselves. Like we are having lots of protests, lots of anger and confusing over what's going on in the government, and that's kind of similar to what we're doing now again. So it's a really powerful movie that I think is relevant to our times, while it was looking back at a time that was 5 years ago, which is crazy to think. But it's wild. It's a beautiful movie. Highly recommend this one. I loved it. Let me know your thoughts. Like, share, and subscribe.